All right. So my name is Chesney. I'm interviewing you for the East Tennessee Dialect Project.
Okay.
And we're gathering dialect and infographic data for research and service learning education. So can you start off by introducing yourself to me?
Sure. My name is Nevada Aaron. I am from Jefferson City, Tennessee. And I go to Carson Newman University.
So what are you majoring in at Carson Newman?
I'm studying political science.
What do you plan on doing with that?
I want to go to law school after here. I'm looking at Duke.
Nice. Okay, so tell me about your hometown and where you grew up.
Well, I actually grew up here in Jefferson County. And everybody always says, like, I don't know how you grew up here because there's nothing to do. But honestly, like, in high school, I was involved in a lot of different things, so I never really realized there wasn't much to do, like, outside of school until I got to college and realized. But, everything's pretty quiet here. It's what you see is what you get.
So what are the people that are from here like?
Well, there's literally, like, I would put the people of Jefferson County in 3 different categories. One category being, like, well-rounded citizens, like people who contribute. Like, there's a lot of people here that really get involved in the community, like the little leagues and like the different stuff for kids, and like they just built a mini golf. So there's the group that's really involved in stuff around here. Then there is the redneck group, basically people who are not, they're pretty much the opposite of that. And being an African American person growing up in such a small town where that's not seen a lot, there was a lot of ignorance around here growing up. A lot of ignorance.
Do you feel like it's like that in a lot of areas around East Tennessee?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that when looking, like, from a point of view that if someone who has grown up here and I see the way people think and act, like, on a daily basis, not just on a visiting aspect, I think that there's a lot of things in East Tennessee that needs to be fixed.
So, with thinking things need to be fixed, do you feel like it needs to be that way with your family? Or is your family pretty, like, cool with everything? Like, what's your family like?
Well, I am mixed races, so half of my family is African American and the other half is Caucasian. So, the Caucasians are the ones that live here in East Tennessee. So, for my family, they're very accepting, like, of, us being biracial, and they're accepting of different things. And even since, like the things that have been happening lately, like Black Lives Matter and police brutality and things like that, where before my family wouldn't even want to hear about it. They would just be like, oh, that's drama or something like that. Like, now they're actually listening to my point of view. Like, so for my family, I think they're becoming open-minded, but because they are from here and they are stuck in their ways, there's still some things, that they could definitely work on.
So,
like anybody.
You said you're majoring in political science, correct? So with political science, I just want to go ahead and talk to you maybe about politics a little. You don't have to get into specifics about it or anything, because I know it's a touchy subject, but your political views, are they the same as people around you where you live, or are they different?
No, they're pretty different. I am Democrat for the most part, but I'm kind of like a conservative Democrat because I have some conservative views from East Tennessee. From being here, like in a Baptist area, there's some views that I'm still kind of like don't get too close to, just because that's who I was raised to be. But also, people around here, there's a lot of things that, even on Facebook with people I've grown up my whole life, like if I put something like that I strongly believe in, like sometimes we'll get into like Facebook arguments because people around here are so Republican. They're so for the norm, really.
And so would you say people around here are like really big into politics, or are they like, do people try not to talk about it?
I really think it's like a handful of both. Like I said, there's like that group of people who do get into things around here, and they do get into politics and voting and the sheriff and like the local, like places. they get into like the local things. But what did you ask me? I'm sorry.
Just like people like around here, are they into politics or not?
Yes, they're into, like, the people who are into it are really into it. And then there's people who just kind of ignore it. They think what's going on doesn't affect them, basically, personally, from my experience.
So your family being from here, are they really into politics or not?
No, my family's not into politics
at all.
No.
So it's like really not something that's like talked about in the house.
It's not that they don't care, but mostly that they're just not educated enough to really know. So they'd rather not talk about it than to get too into it.
That makes sense.
And be wrong.
So you said you grew up here as well. So like in high school and everything, what did you do for fun?
So basically, Friday night football games were like the life of this place. Like, everybody really gets into Friday night football games, and so we'll go ham, really. And so everybody gets into that, so that comes along with a lot of different things too, like dressing up and like pre-gaming stuff and just stuff like that. So there's a lot of community things that go in around there for fun, but like I said, I was involved in a lot of school-based activities. So outside of fun, there's things to do, like in Gatlinburg, there's like 30 minutes from here, you can always go there, and there's plenty of things to do. There's things to do in Knoxville, Morristown, but...
So would you say a lot of people like travel to go do things around here instead of just staying in town?
Yeah, there's literally nothing to do in this town besides eat. So, and play mini golf now, or go to the community center and swim, or go outside and take a walk or something. But if you really want to do something, especially if you have a group of people, you probably want to go outside of the city limits.
So are you saying like everybody, like growing up, everybody did basically the same thing around here? Like there was, since there's like nothing to do here, everybody travels to go do something?
Yes, everybody basically is on, it's like the schedule, and everybody has their own ways they do the schedule. But for the most part, everybody's on the same schedule. Like, people wake up, they go to work, they get off, they take their kids to play sports, they do what they have to do, their kids do homework, or they do work things. You go to sleep, you eat, you know what I mean? There's nothing, there's, like, I know you're from Atlanta, so things like that, there's always, like, a nightlife, there's always, like, something going on. Here, that's really not. It could just be because, like, this city is small itself. In East Tennessee, I'm sure there's plenty of things to do, like, in East Tennessee as a region, but just not here.
So, what would you say people do, like, for jobs around here? Like, what are the big jobs people have? Or do like people have to travel for their jobs, or are they in town? Like, what is...
You mean, like, basic jobs or, like, money-making jobs?
I guess both. Just, like, what do people around here do for a living?
Okay. There's a lot of factories around here that people work in. There are fast food restaurants and things that people work in. There's, like, churches that people get involved in, like insurance, things like that. There's not really any big money-making things to do here. There are people in this town who make lots of money. If they're making lots of money, it's because of, like, agricultural things. Like, people have farmland, and they have cattle and animals that, you know, they can make produce from and take them to, like, their local stores and things like that. So if anyone's making big money in this town, it's from something like that, or either they're definitely working, like, in Knoxville or somewhere like that and driving to do.
I was about to ask you about agriculture. Like, do you think it's more industrial, more agriculture-based jobs in this area?
In this area?
Or just in this region, like East Tennessee?
Yeah, I want to say it's probably a mixture. I think we have really strong agricultural, like, in high school, like, one of my best friends was on, like, the HOSA team, I think, if that's what it's called, and they do, like, a lot of agricultural things, and they have competitions for it against, like, different schools, like, in East Tennessee and, like, the tri-state areas and stuff like that, where they all do go head-to-head and stuff like that. So I think that's a strong thing here. It's almost as big as any, like, the sports teams.
So, like, with agriculture, is a lot of your produce here, is it all very local, or is it, like, dispersed from different places?
It's pretty local. There's actually a place in Granger County where tomatoes are, like, booming there, and people come from
people
places.
in Atlanta even know about Granger County tomatoes.
Yeah, like, people come to get them, so I'd definitely say so, yeah.
Do you feel like there's any problems, like, in this, like, region, like, in East Tennessee specifically? Like that people, like that people get into, like, because I feel like when there's not a lot to do, people start getting into things, like, trouble-wise. Like,
definitely.
Do you think that's a really big thing here? Like, it really affects people in this area?
Substance abuse is a huge in this area, as well as, like, opioids and pills. People are taking pills. People are going to rehab for these pills. They get put on Suboxone and things like that, which is basically just another form of an addiction to take away, basically, from the addiction you have then. And so... there's a lot of doctor shopping. I don't know if you heard about that. It's where people will literally just kind of have like one illness or maybe even like a faked illness, and they will go to multiple doctors for it, get multiple prescriptions, take multiple drugs. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or sell multiple drugs. So because there's not a lot to do around here, people do get into wanting to be in a different mindset.
What would you say your favorite memory is growing up in East Tennessee?
Honestly, I think East Tennessee Falls are my most favorite memories. Just like we have a cornfield here, and we also have one of the biggest haunted houses like in the United States. And so fall here is really interesting. There's tons of people. There's cornfields and pumpkin patches and hay rides and football and just like a ton of stuff to do in the fall. So fall Tennessee Falls are my favorite.
Okay, one last thing I want to get you to do before the end of this interview. I want you to read this word list, the second one, just so I can see how you pronounce some of those things.
Okay, you ready? Lot, thought, prize, boil, pour, pin, choice, toll, ball, pour, trap, dress, cub, thing, fault, test, hand, nothing, this, morning, often, trimmed, clasp, cost, risk, story, ass, toe, fault, grasp.